Hi there. Yeah, it's been a little while since I made a hockey video. Yeah, I just figured I'd make one today. I was able to acquire an away jersey of Patrick Kane of the Authentic Adidas. It is a very nice jersey, and I paid a very good price for it too, actually. But anyway, this isn't really so much a video about comparing authentic jerseys to replicas. The one on my right is a replica, Jonathan Taves. Because I more or less already did that with the home Chicago Blackhawks jerseys. There was just a few things I wanted to bring up. I haven't watched much of the Hockey Guy lately. Haven't actually watched much of anything on the internet of recent memory anyway. It's not that I, didn't think the Hockey Guy had anything interesting to say. It's not that he didn't have good opinions. It's not that he's not, a nice enough guy. It's just that there are a few things. One, I didn't like his decision, to just stop, promoting the idea of collecting jerseys, because he didn't like the idea that authentic jerseys were going to be a little more expensive. I mean, he has way more than enough jerseys. That's not an issue. Like, he could quit collecting jerseys and it's like, whatever, because, he collected so many. But, I mean, he wanted to pay nothing for them. And, I really am against that kind of logic where people figure that their dollar should go further. Because people like that are a tad bit hypocritical. A lot of people look at me, I'm not saying this specifically about the Hockey Guy, but a lot of people look at me and they go, well, he's always wearing a different hockey jerseys, he's showing off, he's this, that, and the other. But at the same time, there are a lot of people who figure that, when they go to certain places, that their dollar should go further. And therefore, they wave a magic $5 bill around and they think that they're gonna have people groveling at their feet. And, I don't like that logic. I think that, to me, that's more of a statement that you're insulting poor people. I mean, the jerseys I bought, a lot of them, I did get a little bit of a deal on them, but I paid the going rate for them. And for what they were totally worth buying. I wear them all the time. Every day I go out, I wear a hockey jersey. Usually with a coat, though. I must admit, this one, it's a little loud for what it is. And I have to make it a point to, not wear a hockey jersey so much during the summer, I suppose. Because, for one thing, it's too hot anyway, and for two, it does feel kind of out of season. It's more of for me, it's more of a winter kind of thing, and I'm wearing a coat with it to sort of complement it, so it's not, so vibrant, not so loud. But yeah, again, I just don't like the scales of that sort of thing, where it's like, I'm considered a rich snob because I'm walking around in, an expensive shirt and a hat, and, I actually pursue that. And I have noticed that there are other people who, they figure their dollar should go further. And, we don't live in the 1920s. Things cost money. And if you want people to do what you want them to do, whether it's manufacturing clothing or, being a waiter in a restaurant, or, being a bus driver or whatever, you have to pay them what they're worth, what they're doing. Not to get confused with, people who just start out and, obviously when most people start off, they're off at minimum wage and they start squawking, well, they want $15 an hour. That's not quite the same thing as what I'm talking about. I just, the authentic jersey on this side was worth every penny I paid for it. And if I were to make it, I would be insulted if I were offered, $30 or $40 for it. I'd tell the person to, piss off. I don't want their business. But, other people look at it differently. So that's one thing. Another thing is, this is a Patrick Kane jersey, and he actually doesn't actually have that good a reputation around here, unfortunately. A lot of people haven't forgotten about, the allegations that were against him. I don't bring that up, but it's, like, when I bought the Patrick Kane jersey, the home replica one before, and this one, I bought it because Patrick Kane is an excellent hockey player, and he's won 3 Stanley Cups, and he's definitely a cut above most players, and I still back my decision to wager my bets on him getting more points than Sidney Crosby. I haven't actually looked at that in a couple of days, but last I checked they were even. So it's going to be to the wire. Well, the guy who I made the wager with, we didn't, discuss any further details of how this was going about. So, I'll cross that bridge when it shows up, if it does. Anyway, I just remember, 2 years ago, it was a time-sensitive sort of video to make. I went about making kind of a greasy, kind of a underlying deal that I figured may work. And, I haven't seen anything, contradicting my opinion that it may work. I'm sure there's a brick wall or, a receptionist that would say otherwise, but, I'm the kind of guy who doesn't take no for an answer quite so easily without, a good explanation. It was just an idea that I was pitching, okay? Like, I'm not one of these OCD creepos or anything like that. I'm not going to discuss the nature of that video too much. It's still on my Facebook. I may release it at some point or, take it off private. It's still there. It went on cyberspace, so it didn't go anywhere. Even if I wanted it to, it wouldn't go away. But yeah, it's on my Facebook and it's on private settings if anyone really wants to see what deal I offer the NHL and specifically Patrick Kane. Because I figured, there is a small possibility that message may get through. Because I wanted to start off my social media with something a little more on the lines of something interesting going on. Because that's the problem with a lot of people with social media, is that they ain't got nothing interesting to talk about. And how they get popular and how, their channel or following or anything like that actually grows and gets bigger, I have no idea, because I have no interest in what a lot of these people have to say. I'm sure you people know it, where you get your Facebook news feeds and it's just garbage. Waste of your fucking time to watch. I try not to do that on my videos. I try not to ramble or anything like that, but, Yeah, so those were a few things I wanted to bring up that I still think there might be a way I can sort of weasel my way into having a decent seat in the NHL, as far as, at least being a spectator and actually, I don't know, maybe get a little bit of an inside scoop on what's going on. Because the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is you're either there or you're not there. And most people are not there, so they don't know. They can think they know, but they don't know. I mean, you could make the effort to buy, the NHL magazines and things like that and being bothered to read them. Some people warrant those and goes, well, those are expensive. They're not that expensive, really. I mean, most people spend more money on, cigarettes and booze per month than, 5 or 15 bucks on a magazine per month, and you may yet learn something. And that's kind of poor man's logic. I know I had that whole spiel where I was saying where you shouldn't look at money that way, but yeah, I just people who don't want to pay for things and expect to get everything the way they want to. There's no other way to put it. They're cunts and real irritating to deal with. I paid for all my jerseys. I had the opportunity to buy an Arizona, well, it was the Phoenix Coyotes. It was a throwback jersey, the one where it's the coyote with, the human body on a green jersey. I could have paid 20 bucks for that. I saw the seller, she was a young woman from what I understood, and it would cost me 20 bucks. But I didn't want it. I didn't want it because that's not how I buy jerseys. That's not how I like doing it. I don't want something that somebody else owned before I did. That's why all of my jerseys, I paid for them. Because if you want something, you pay for it. That is my understanding of it. And it is really annoying that the hockey guy took his stance, because I mean, I have friends like the hockey guy who, they know all the statistics about this, that, and the other. They know what happened in this year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They know what happened at draft day on such and such year. They know all that stuff. But the thing about him is, he gets his information in a social circle, on a forum, or whatever, that tells him this sort of stuff. YouTube unlocks videos for him to see that other people may not get to see, just because he knows what particular combination of words to ask to see those videos. That gives him an advantage. And, he actually does look like the lazy sort of type. He looks like, he wouldn't try very hard to do anything. And I have friends who are like that. And that is really annoying. Like, any tidbit of information on anything, I had to really, bust my ass looking for, and still I'm getting, the regurgitated garbage version of everything on the internet. Like, when I say, they unlock video clips for things to watch, particularly in the NHL, I'm more stating that it's ones that definitely happened. They were on video throughout hockey history, but they're not so easily found on YouTube. Of course, any game that's happened recently, sure, yeah, there'll be clips of that, because that's just, everyday media, but there'll be a lot of awesome clips that just aren't available for most people anyway. And that gives him an advantage. And I don't see how he actually earned it. Being a fan for all those years, and basically being a peon, a pawn for the interest of others, and somehow he's granted this ability to have somewhat insider information, and he's allowed to do his YouTube channel, and he's actually making money out of it. Whereas me, I've had to work very hard, and I've been severely punished in other ways for other things. Just because some people didn't like what I had to say on social media, really. But they can go fuck themselves, really. Yeah, I was trying to figure out where exactly I was going with this video. Yeah, just give me a second here. I'm kind of doing this off the top of my head. Well, I wish I had been able to watch more games of recently. So some of them were kind of interesting. You know, I get the quick video clips of them, and you know, there are things going on, which is good. That doesn't make me any less a hockey fan, but you know, I can go some time without actually watching a game. You know, I have had arguments with hockey fans on the internet, and can they really be that dumb? It's like, if you happen to cheer for other teams if they're successful, it's like all of a sudden you're a bandwagon jumper. I have a number of jerseys because I like how they looked. I liked how the teams played. I admired their success. And you know, still, they accuse you of being a bandwagon jumper, or you know, they just want to pick a fight with you over like nothing. And imagine these assholes when they have a few beers in them, what they're gonna be like. And it's just like, yeah, or you know, hockey fans really that stupid? I guess all sports fans are kind of that stupid. I mean, let's take things into consideration here. Let's put a little context to it. In Pakistan, for example, they play cricket, and you know, a lot of fucked up things happen there when a team loses, or a player doesn't do as well as he's supposed to, or any combination of reasons. They're fucking animals. It's like the fucking Roman Colosseum. When you see these animals at work, and you know, people, you know, they have no context of that when they look at organized sport today in, you know, the Western Hemisphere, where things are a lot different. And I mean, you know, don't go making excuses for people who don't deserve it, but you know, try to see things from a different perspective and go, hey, wait a minute, there are assholes all around, all kinds, shapes and sizes, and they don't deserve to be alibied either. If you want to know the truth, if you want my honest opinion, most people, in particular when they're in any position of authority or on the insider side of things, they tend to be, you know, scumbags themselves, dirtbags, douchebags. I aspire to, you know, sort of, even if I have to be in the peanut gallery, still kind of get an inside look on what's going on, because you know, if a comment's coming out of you know, the left field, I like to think I'd be able to see it and move out of the way just in time before it crashes. And you know, a lot of people are, you know, they're like, would never see it because they're too preoccupied in their tiny little world to possibly think outside of the box. I mean, I know in hockey, throughout its history, there have been some questionable moments, but I really feel like a lot of the enthusiasm has been sucked out of the game because of their new approach on it. And it does have a lot to do with the fans and the fact that, you know, a lot of them are beer swilling, hot dog eating, you know, bald-headed, you know, low-level douchebags. And it's a shame that, you know, such great sport, you know, that there have been things that aren't good about it. Yeah, well, you know, that will change, but I really hope that the enthusiasm, the emotion, the adrenaline of the game lives on, perhaps in future audiences that, you know how to handle that kind of excitement properly. I mean, it must have been nice for Pittsburgh Penguins fans for, you know, the Stanley Cup to have been won twice, but to be honest, I mean, San Jose and Nashville, I mean, I made a video about that where I said I didn't think Nashville was going to win, and I felt more or less the same thing about San Jose. I took one look at them and went, they're not going to win. And, you know, that takes a lot of the excitement out of the game if it's not close, if it's not, well, maybe it could go this way, maybe it could go that way. It was like, right from the beginning, knew Pittsburgh's going to win. And that's part of the direction that mainstream media wants to go is, you know, slow, methodic, calculated, and predictable. Essentially taking the zest out of life. And there are a lot of people who don't like organized sport, in particular hockey, for various reasons. But we have to kind of try and forget about all that because, you know, us newcomers to the game, you know, we didn't have anything to do with that. That's not our fault. And, you know, really, like, how stupid are people? Like, it's funny because, you know, I've, you know, worn my most flamboyant hockey jerseys in, I won't say sketchy parts of town, but, you know, parts of town that, you know, you can't be no goddamn fool about walking around in. And, you know, I had to be careful, and this is in Vancouver, that, yo, man, someone could come along and, you know, I don't know, shank me or something like that. And, you know, it gets back to the whole, well, you paid for something, and you know, you're kind of showing off your wealth that way, as opposed to paying nothing for something and acting like your money counts for so much more. In the same way, it's like you're flexing your wealth that way as well. And I just wanted to make the point that, you know, people who do that and don't see the hypocritical nature of themselves are you know, they're very stupid people in their own way. A lot of people are fucking idiots in their own way. I mean, I'm sure I'm an idiot in my way. I know I am. But I can take that. I can take, you know, a cheap shot like that, and it's not really going to bother me too much. But I don't know. I have to wait and see. Well, I think I'll tidy this video up here. I did just buy a jersey off the internet because it was a good deal, an authentic. I'm not going to tell you which one, but I will tell you that it wasn't a Vancouver Canucks jersey. I had the opportunity to pay the same price for an authentic Adidas Bozer jersey, and not that I don't like the guy, but I've said many times before, I don't actually like the Orca logo too much, and I didn't buy it. I could have, and I chose not to. You know, that's my take on it. Which actually reminds me real quick. I wanted to talk about the Fanatics jerseys real quick. I did see them, and they're $150. They have a name on the back. They got the numbers, but the crest is terrible. That is like the worst crest I've ever seen. Like, I have a green limited edition Chicago Blackhawks St. Patrick's Day jersey, and that has a fairly bad crest on it. I mean, I like the jersey, but the crest on it is very bad. But the crest on the replica Fanatics jerseys are terrible. So I gotta stock up on the CCM jerseys while I can, the vintage ones, because I still need well, it would have been the home Vancouver Canucks skate jersey, which was white. I also want the two Ottawa Senators jerseys with the Senators, you know, looking off to the side. That's a better jersey, but I want them without numbers or names on them because I just don't like how the numbers are in between, you know, the color patches on the elbows. I just don't like how that looks. So, yeah, to sum up this video, that bet between me and that other guy about Patrick Kane getting more points than Sidney Crosby is still on. Kind of hope that Patrick Kane does a little bit better this time around. We're gonna see. Because yeah, I don't want to lose to this guy. This guy's a douchebag. And, you know, Sidney Crosby, like, everyone, you know, looks at him and go, oh, well, he's the Sid the Kid, he's all this and that. Believe me, people, he's an asshole in his own way. A lot of people in the NHL are. I mean, you can't help it when you get that kind of money. You have to be a little bit selfish and you have to be a little bit of an asshole. Because if you don't, you're going to get rickrolled. And you don't want that. You'll just be treated like the nice guy, and the nice guys always finish last. Okay, so there's that part. I also talked about my disappointment with the hockey guy and his attitude towards the authentic jerseys that have just come out, because I think they put a lot of work into these and they look really nice, and I just don't like his douchebag attitude on it. And he's been able to sit for so long on a pile of information regarding the NHL. So, he has his way of going about doing his business, and, it's not the type of, junkyard dog mentality that I really like. So there was that, and then to finish it off, I talked about the Fanatics jerseys. I doubt very much most of you will have the zoom feature on your on any program you may have on your computer to have a closer look at this jersey, but it's more or less the same bag as the home jerseys that I showed you, the one of the red Jonathan Toews and the red Patrick Kane. It's the same deal. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Have a good one.